The story begins with a young man who is watching videos of people inside hotel rooms. His real name is Bartholomew Bromley, but he is known as Bart to everyone. As Bart looks through the recordings, he watches different people going about their normal lives. He copies how they talk as a way to practice speaking. He listens to them and then says the words after they do. We find out that Bart has Asperger's syndrome. He is doing this in secret to get better at social situations and to deal with his condition. Then, his mother, whose name is Ethel Bromley, calls out to tell him his food is ready. It becomes clear that he even watches his mother through cameras and stays away from being near her in person. Because he lives in a room in the basement, his mother leaves his plate of food at the bottom of the stairs and then walks back to the dining table. Ethel looks a little sad that Bart keeps away from her too, but she comforts herself because she has come to terms with her only son's condition. Only after she leaves does Bart come to get his meal. While Ethel eats her own dinner, Bart watches how she moves and acts, and he copies her as he eats his food. Later, Bart goes to his job at the hotel. His mother watches him from the window as he drives away. Bart is very careful when he drives. When he gets to the hotel, he parks his car in the spot that is meant for him. On his way inside, Bart runs into his boss, Ron Benson. Ron tries to make small talk with Bart, but the conversation feels awkward. Ron knows about Bart's condition though, and he has still given Bart a job at his hotel, even with the syndrome. We learn that Bart works the night shift as a clerk at Ron's place. Bart tries to keep himself busy by moving around because the hotel is quiet and no guests are coming to check in at that hour. At one moment, he even picks up a magazine and sniffs it. Since it is already past midnight and it is unlikely that anyone else will come to book a room, Bart sits under the desk and uses an iPad to keep watching videos of people. Then, a woman named Perretti comes to the hotel to check in. She appears to be anxious and lost in her thoughts about something. When Karen walks into the hotel, she looks around but does not see anyone at the front desk. She calls out for the person working at the reception, and suddenly Bart pops up from under the table. This startles Karen. Bart responds in a strange way, which leaves Karen feeling even more puzzled. Karen then asks for a room booked under the name Perretti. Even though she did not ask for it, Bart starts listing all the things that come with the room by reading directly from the computer screen, word for word, because it is hard for him to talk in a normal way. Karen then understands that Bart has some kind of medical issue. Still, she tells Bart she wants the key to her room. Bart asks if she would like both keys. Karen says yes, she wants both. As they talk, Bart pays close attention to every small thing about Karen, like her jewelry and the lipstick she is wearing. He quickly figures out that she must be wealthy. When Karen is about to go to the room she booked, Bart offers her a nicer and bigger room instead. Karen is happy to take it, and then heads to the luxury suite. Once Karen is in her suite, Bart begins to watch her through the hidden cameras he has placed in the room. It turns out that Bart has set up many secret cameras in every hotel room, and he uses them to observe people so he can learn from them and copy their behavior. Karen changes into a robe, lies down on the bed, and pours herself some wine. Bart watches all of this from the front desk on his iPad. Soon after, he notices a man knocking on the balcony door of Karen's room. The man's face is not very clear on the video, but Bart can see him talking with Karen. The man looks surprised and unhappy to find her there. Karen tells him that she has his other phone. Bart has never seen this kind of situation between people at the hotel before. Bart keeps watching the footage and becomes so focused on it that he does not notice his coworker, Jacque Miller, has arrived for the morning shift. Jacque catches Bart looking at the iPad screen. Bart quickly closes it and gets scared. Jacque thinks Bart is watching something inappropriate and tells him to go home as he takes over the shift. Bart gets up while Jacque sits down, but Bart feels that something is wrong. He wants to tell Jacque about it, but Jacque does not want to listen and just tells Bart to leave. After that, Bart drives to a gas station and then to a convenience store where he buys some ice cream. He tells the shopkeeper that his shirt color is very bothersome. The shopkeeper is confused by this comment from a stranger and tells Bart to get out. Bart then goes back home. Once in his basement room, Bart starts watching the live feed from Karen's room again. It is now early morning. As he watches the video, he copies whatever Karen is saying. She is telling the man to pretend that he loves her and makes fun of him for seeing another woman. She also says that she sent a message to that other woman from the man's phone, letting her know that he cannot meet her. It becomes clear that Karen is trying to get the man back. Then, things take a turn for the worse. The man pushes Karen onto the bed. During the struggle, a gun falls out of Karen's bag. Bart sees it on the screen and is shocked. Karen starts laughing, trying to hide her pain. She keeps mocking the man for being with another woman. Suddenly, the man climbs on top of her and starts hitting her very hard. There is a lot of violence. Bart is completely shocked. He cannot speak for a few seconds. Then he immediately calls the hotel front desk, but he is too panicked to talk. With no other choice, He speeds back to the hotel to try and stop something terrible from happening. Bart drives very fast, leaves his car by the side entrance, goes in through that door, and walks down the hallway toward the room. Right at that moment, Jacque steps outside to smoke. He sees Bart's car still there and thinks Bart never left the hotel. Then, he suddenly hears a gunshot. He walks carefully toward the room. When he gets there, he finds Bart sitting on the bed with Karen's body lying on the floor. Jacque is terrified and tells Bart not to touch anything, then goes outside to call 911. But Bart cannot stand the sight of blood. He touches it anyway and wipes it on the bedsheet. Then he suddenly remembers that his secret cameras are all around the room. He rushes to take out the memory cards from the hidden cameras, but in his panic, he drops one in a corner without noticing. Next, we see Detective Espada talking to Ron, who owns the hotel, and asking him questions about Bart. Ron says that Bart has worked at the hotel for 3 years and has never caused any problems. Ron explains that his company has no issue with hiring people who have health conditions. He also tells the detective that even though Bart has a condition, he is very smart and good at his job. When Espada goes over to talk to Bart, Bart immediately starts talking quickly about where he was and what he did. From the way Bart speaks, Espada understands that he has Asperger's. Bart says he left work early because Jacque came in for the morning shift. He tells Espada that after he left the hotel, he went to a store and bought ice cream. Then Bart lies and says he went back to the hotel because he forgot his wallet near the vending machine at work. This makes Espada wonder, and he asks Bart why he used the side door to get in, and how he paid for the ice cream if he did not have his wallet. Bart does not know what to say, so Espada arrests him and takes him to the police station. At the station, Espada talks with Karen's husband, Nick Perretti, in his office. Nick looks very upset. He asks if Bart knows anything about who killed his wife. Nick also mentions that Karen had a gun she kept for safety. He wonders out loud what she was doing at a hotel late at night, and it seems like he is suggesting that she might have been meeting someone else. Soon after, Ethel arrives at the station and angrily tells Espada that he should not have brought Bart in because of his condition. She warns him that next time, their lawyer will be there. After speaking firmly to the detective, Ethel takes Bart home. When they get there, she asks Bart if there is something he wants to tell her. She promises him that no matter what happens, she will always be there for him. But Bart just leans in to give her a kiss and then goes down to his basement room without saying a word. This leaves Ethel even more worried. That night, Espada tries to learn more about Asperger's syndrome so he can understand Bart better. He is still not sure if Bart had anything to do with Karen's death. Meanwhile, Ethel lies on the couch at home, looking very stressed. In his room, Bart watches the recording from Karen's room again. He still cannot see the killer's face clearly in the video. But then he notices something new. The man has a tattoo on his arm that looks like a bird. The next day, Ron tells Bart that he thinks Bart is not guilty. He says he will not let Bart go from his job. Instead, Ron moves him to work at another hotel he owns. This one is smaller and also not very busy. On his first night there, Bart sees a car pull up. A young woman who is very pretty gets out and comes in to check in. After what happened before, Bart is more careful now and is ready for her when she walks in. But when he sees this woman, he cannot stop looking at her. Her name is Andrea Rivera. Bart tries his best to talk to her in a way that does not make her notice his condition. Andrea is friendly with him and then goes to her room. As soon as she walks away, Bart takes a small hidden camera out of his tie. After his shift ends and he gets home, Bart quickly connects the camera to his computer and watches the video of Andrea talking to him at the front desk. He liked her the moment he saw her, and now he keeps watching the video over and over to practice how to speak. He pauses the video many times just to look at her. In his mind, all Bart wants is to find a way to make her like him. The following day, Bart is looking at some magazines at home. Soon after, his mother calls him to let him know his food is ready. After he eats, he goes to get into his car, but then he notices that Espada is watching him from somewhere nearby. This makes Bart very nervous. He shuts the car door and decides to walk instead. He moves awkwardly down the street until he reaches a convenience store. By chance, Andrea is also there, and she sees him. She starts a conversation with Bart. At first, Bart speaks in an awkward way, and Andrea quickly understands that he has Asperger's syndrome. But she does not act surprised. Instead, she tells Bart that even if he finds social situations hard, he is still very smart. She tries to make him feel better by pointing out that he has a job and is clever. Andrea also shares that her brother had the same condition, only it was more severe. He had to stay in a special home for a long time, and later he died. As they keep talking, Bart begins to relax. He tells her that he watches people, copies them, and practices how to speak. But then he realizes he is getting too close to sharing something he should not, so he stops himself before saying anything about the cameras. Bart quickly ends the chat and walks away, and Andrea gives him a warm smile. Later, when Bart gets back home, he cannot stop thinking about Karen's murder. He looks at the videos once more and writes down everything Karen said to the man in the room. While he is going through the footage, he suddenly notices that one of the memory cards is missing. To make things worse, it turns out that Ron found that card in the hotel room. He hands it over to Espada. Espada asks Ron if he knew about any hidden cameras in the hotel, but Ron says he had no idea. Later, Espada shows the video from the card to Nick, Karen's husband. Nick says he can barely tell it is his wife because the camera was placed low and only shows people from the knees down. He tells Espada he cannot keep watching and insists that Bart must be the killer since he was the first one at the scene. But Espada explains that there is not enough proof to keep Bart in jail. Even if Bart put the cameras there, it only makes him a creep, not a murderer. After that, Espada brings Jacque in for more questioning. Jacque tells him that when he came in for his shift, he saw Bart looking at a video that seemed to be from one of the hotel rooms, but he assumed it was porn. Espada asks why he never asked Bart about it. Jacque says he found Bart in a weird situation and did not want to get into his personal business. Later that night, a car pulls up to the hotel to drop Andrea off. Bart has been waiting for her to arrive, but he notices her giving the driver a kiss before saying goodbye. This bothers Bart a lot. When Andrea walks into the hotel, she looks very upset. Bart tells her that the AC in her room has been fixed. But the truth is, Bart has placed hidden cameras inside her room. Feeling stressed, Andrea drinks some alcohol in her room while Bart watches her through the cameras from the front desk. She is too sad to fall asleep. After a while, Andrea comes back down to talk to Bart. She sits close to him in a way that feels like she is trying to get his attention. Bart feels a little uneasy. She tells him she is going to swim in the pool and says he can join her if he wants. Bart is not sure about it. Then Andrea goes to the pool and starts swimming, not knowing that Bart is there and watching her the whole time. After Andrea gets out of the pool, she notices Bart standing there, and it startles her. Bart quickly hands her a towel robe and then looks away, talking quickly about how he was just watching because there was no lifeguard around. But Andrea seems to like the fact that Bart is drawn to her. She asks him to come and sit next to her. Bart sits down shyly, and they begin to talk. As they get more comfortable with each other, Bart asks her about the man who dropped her off and kissed her. Andrea does not answer his question. Instead, she asks Bart if he has a girlfriend. Bart explains that most people think he is strange, so he does not have one. Then Andrea playfully asks him what he is thinking about. Bart cannot hold back and he kisses her. Right after, he starts to panic. But Andrea gives him a playful smile. She calms him down by saying it is all right and asks him to sit close while she gently strokes his hair. She tells him that feeling lonely can make people do things they would not normally do, and she becomes a little emotional. Then she kisses him back. Bart feels at ease now and rests his head on her lap. Andrea opens up to him and says she has been seeing a married man in secret for a while, but now things feel too messy and hard to understand. Bart then tries to explain what the word nerd means. Andrea says she does not really get what he is trying to say. Bart, who's grown very fond of her, simply tells her that he could be her lifeguard forever. This touches Andrea deeply, and she becomes emotional. But then she remembers something and says goodnight before heading back to her room. Bart, however, is overjoyed. He feels incredibly happy because for the first time in his life, he has kissed a woman and been kissed back. The next day, Bart wants to look better for Andrea. He gets a haircut, buys new clothes, a new car, and even some perfume. He drives to the hotel to see her, but instead of going inside, he decides to call her out. He phones the hotel reception and asks them to connect him to Andrea's room. But just as Andrea reaches for the phone, Bart sees her through the window with another man. His heart sinks. And then he notices something even worse. The man with Andrea is the same person who killed Karen. Bart recognizes him by the tattoo on his arm. Bart feels crushed, but he also feels angry. He rushes home to look at Karen's videos again. But when he gets there, Espada and his team are already inside. This time they have a warrant to search Bart's computers and cameras for evidence. After looking around, Espada finds that Bart's hard drives are empty and asks him about it. Bart answers in his usual awkward way, saying he deleted everything. Espada keeps questioning him. Ethel tries to step in, but Espada will not back down this time. Bart realizes how serious this is, but because of his condition, his responses come out strangely, and this makes Espada even more suspicious. Still, after finishing his questions, Espada leaves. As soon as they are gone, Bart pulls out a hidden hard drive he kept safe. He looks at the footage from Andrea's room and sees the same man lying in her bed with her. They are getting close, and Bart cannot bear to watch. It makes him deeply sad. The next morning, Bart is feeling completely broken and stays in bed, not wanting to go to work. Because of this, his mother Ethel goes down to his room to try and make him feel better. She tells him that even when things are hard, he has to keep going with his life. She shares how after Bart's father died, it was a very difficult time for both of them, but they still had to move forward. Her words really help Bart, and for the first time, he comes up from the basement, joins his mother for lunch, and they actually sit and eat together at the dining table. Later that night, we see Karen's husband, Nick, sitting in a car and talking with Andrea. This is when we realize that Nick is the man Andrea was telling Bart about earlier. So it becomes clear that Nick is the one who killed Karen. The next morning, Andrea comes to Bart's house to visit him. Ethel stops her at the door and asks what her connection is to Bart. Andrea says that she and Bart are friends. Ethel is not sure at first, but after thinking about it, she lets Andrea go inside to see him. Bart tells Andrea that he felt very hurt because of what he saw her doing with Nick. Andrea says she is sorry. She tells him that if things had been different between them, maybe they could have been together. Before she leaves, she promises not to come around and bother him again. Meanwhile, Espada is outside watching Bart's house, and he notices Andrea leaving. This makes him curious, so he starts looking her up on social media. That same night, Bart is watching the video feed from Andrea's room when he sees Nick and Andrea having a fight. Nick is trying to get her to listen, but Andrea will not agree with him. Then, out of nowhere, Nick hits her. Bart panics right away. Without stopping to think, he jumps in his car and rushes to the hotel. He goes straight to the room and walks in. Nick is shocked to see him there and runs out of the hotel immediately. Bart then tries to comfort Andrea, but Andrea is confused and asks him how he knew she was in trouble. Bart feels he has no choice, so he tells her the truth about what he has been doing. He shows her the hidden cameras he placed in her room, and Andrea is stunned. At first, she is very angry that he was watching her without her knowing, but Bart calms her down and tells her there is something even more important he needs to show her. He asks her to trust him, and after a little while, she agrees to go with him. Bart quickly takes her to his house and plays the recording from Karen's room. After Andrea watches what happened, she is frightened. She tells Bart she cannot keep watching, and he comforts her. She asks if he has shown this video to anyone else, and Bart says no. Andrea starts crying because she does not know what to do now. Bart tells her she needs to fix his heart, meaning he wants her to be with him, but Andrea says she cannot do that. Bart then tells her that Nick is a very bad person, and she has to help him give this proof to the police. Andrea is still not sure. Bart tries to calm her down and suggests she rest for a while. Soon after, Andrea lies down on Bart's bed and asks him to lie down with her for a bit. The next morning, Bart wakes up and sees Andrea waiting for him with her suitcase already packed. She tells him she is leaving and asks if he wants to come with her. As he talks to her, he feels that it is not hard to reach out and touch her. They look at each other romantically, but then Bart suddenly wakes up and understands it was only a dream. In real life, Andrea is gone, and she has taken the hard drive that had a copy of Karen's murder video. On top of that, she left Karen's gun on his bed to make it look like Bart is the guilty one. At the same time, Espada goes to Andrea's hotel room. There, he finds a towel with blood on it and also one of the hidden cameras inside her luggage. Andrea set all of this up on purpose to make Bart look like the killer in Karen's case. Andrea gives the hard drive to Nick, and they both get into a car to leave town. It turns out that Andrea and Nick were working together the whole time. They planned to get rid of any proof that could connect Nick to the murder. Andrea was helping Nick cover up his crime from the very beginning. Back at home, Bart sits in his room and stares at his monitors, but nothing is connected anymore. He picks up the gun Andrea left behind, then hooks the monitors back up to whatever data he still has and looks at pictures of Andrea. He feels hurt deeply by her betrayal. His mother Ethel grows worried when she suddenly hears a gunshot come from Bart's basement room. She panics in that tense moment. Right then, Espada shows up at the house. Ethel begs him to let her go check on her son first, but Espada stops her and goes down to find Bart himself. When he walks into Bart's room, he sees the video of Karen's murder playing on the screen along with several other memory cards. He also finds a note from Bart saying that he should have handed over the proof earlier. Eventually, Nick and Andrea are stopped by the police on the road and taken into custody. Andrea finally understands that Bart was smarter than she thought and must have made copies of everything. In the final scene, Bart is sitting in a busy shopping area, surrounded by people. For one last moment, he thinks about Andrea, the woman he loved, but he has made up his mind to move forward. Bart stands up, starts walking, and watches the people around him. He practices talking to himself, ready to become more outgoing and try to make friends. And that is how the story ends. If you liked this video, please press the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to this channel. See you in the next video.